Good afternoon, Quilt Roadies. Well, it's been a couple weeks almost, huh? I have been busy, as many of you are, and so I'm just going to share today what I've been up to and what I have plans for. But first of all, I want to make sure you all know that at the end of this video will be the flyer that's posted for the winner of this kit that was donated by the Quilt Barn. Look at her cute little magnet in La Grande, and it was so generous of her. It's got all the fabrics and the pattern, and I love Atkinson Designs. So at the end of this video will be the winner's name, and all you have to do is email me your mailing address, and the email address will be in the drop-down box. I won't be asking. I know we all say this, but we have to because of, you know, those naughty people out there. I won't be asking for your PIN number or for postage or anything like that, so you can relax. And this pattern, although what's included is the Halloween, it can also, look at that, the Christmas fabric. So I powered through, as you saw at the beginning, and I've been tooting my horn on social media that I finished the quilt for my cousin's son. Now I have to find a moment to be able to quilt it. It's Spider-Man and Marvel comics, and it is the One Block Wonder pattern, and all it is a pile of 2.5 by 4.5 inch squares. It went together so easy that I went ahead and decided I'm going to make 2 more of those because I have 2 more second cousins that are toddlers, preschoolers, and so I went to I had a coupon, so I went and got batting for the quilt, and I'm just bending over here into the bag, and I bought a whole pile of fabrics to make 2 more of the One Block Wonder quilt. So, you know, Mickey Mouse, there's Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Dogs and Bones, and you know these are quilts for toddlers. So you know, yeah, you're not going to like create a like a quilt that's all hand pieced or hand quilted. They have got to stand up to the toddler mentality. So I'm going to be starting to cut up 2 more of those quilts. Yeah. I also, so I traveled over the mountain. I had high hopes, I'm telling you. I had high hopes. You know, whenever I go from this side of the mountain, I don't know if it's the same in other states or other countries, how you guys refer to where you're going. But in Oregon, we generally refer to going over one mountain range or another. So when I say I'm going over the mountain, it means I'm going from this side of the state, going over the top of a mountain range to get to the other side of the state. And I left many, many, many great friends on the other side of the mountain. So I knew that my quilt group was going to try to get together, so I really wanted to be able to be there and also stop by and see various friends that I just like to stop and chit-chat with them and, you know, make that connection. But when I got over to the other side, The first day was okay. So I did a lot of stops. You know, we went to two, actually three quilt stores or sewing machine stores. We went to Cynthia's. We went to this other shop called, it's a new one. It's where, let me see, what is it called? It's where So Many Quilts in Bend, Oregon used to be, for those of you who have traveled over there or shopped there, like during Quilters Affair or Sisters Outdoor Quilt Show. But I'm just gonna, because I took a picture of the outside of that shop to remember the name, and it is called Anvil Sewing Inc. And we didn't know what to expect by going in there. I had heard through the grapevine that it was a sewing machine shop, but in fact they have fabric in there, and their fabric is always 30% off. I was told, and they're a Benina dealer. So that was interesting. And you know, so I bought some fabric because I thought, I'm making two more toddler quilts, which are throw size, of the One Block Wonder quilt. And I said, I just saw this whole line. I don't know. You know this spiel. I need more fabric, like I need a hole in the head. But this whole line of flannel was so gorgeous, and all I could see was that a One Block Wonder quilt, and making a lap size quilt for this fall and winter, and so I did it. I bought 18 fat quarters. I know, isn't that crazy? Don't judge me, but wait till you see this pile. Isn't that going to be a gorgeous, comforting, I hope this is my screenshot. I hope this is the one that they use. This is going to be a comforting quilt this fall and winter. And so, yeah, I couldn't pass it up. I had no intentions. I bought more fabric this trip than I have forever. Yeah. So, and then we stopped by, you know, the quilt basket, because, you know, it's like that first day we were just on the go, because I knew that I was going to be doing a lot more visiting later in my stay, and so in the quilt basket I found this. I've had this fabric before, but I thought it would be cute in the toddler quilts, so that's going to the toddler quilts. And then there was a gal there who's a bag maker, and she was buying this fabric, and I just thought, this is like the coolest fabric ever. So yeah, I bought one repeat of it. I mean, it's just, and this is a Ghastly Getaway, Alexander Henry. You know how much we love him, or that fabric company, I should say. So yeah, I shouldn't have, but I did. Nobody's a boss of me. Yeah. Well, yeah. So I'm going to just sit here and do some more talking. Let me just move that camera a little bit. Yeah. I don't know what the heck Enzo's doing. Yeah. I took stitching down, you know, like I was going to finish this, so that's what I'm working on today. And then I got to find the right size washboard to be able to hang it up in my laundry room. But I I ended up being mostly housebound while I was down there because there were two fires. We, you know, our natural disaster is fire. You know, some places hurricane and earthquake and tornadoes and all that. Ours is fire. That's why the whole thing that happened in Maui just is so frightening. And I've been to Maui twice, and I mean, one time we sailed right into the harbor there, and we stayed on the boat, and then another time G and I went, and we just enjoyed that whole Lahaina area. So, I mean, to see anytime there's a Mother Nature natural disaster, it's always just horrible for the people. But fire is something that we're so familiar with. And so when I was over there, there were two fires going on, and literally the smoke just saturated that whole area of Oregon. That and I forgot to bring my inhalers. You know, I didn't, when I left here I was in a rush and I didn't even think about it, so I didn't throw them in the suitcase. And so you know, I had this list of people that I was going to visit, and I didn't want to go out of the house. Yeah, it was absolutely horrible. So I was sucking on cough drops. It was somewhat warm because I was in the room I was staying in. I kept all the windows closed, and it was just thick. So I didn't get to see everybody I wanted to see. That's what I'm whining about right here. But, you know, yeah. I'm sorry you have to listen to my whining. But yeah, I didn't get to see everybody I wanted to see. And then there was, you know, like boats passing. I got to see some of my quilt group, and I got to see some of my book group because they came to where I was staying. And but there were other members of the quilt group that had come in, but it's like ships passing. You didn't get to see them because you were like off by a day or two, or they didn't have the time either to hang out and visit. And I guess you can't complain because life is good and life is busy for the most part. I mean, really. But that thick smoke, holy moly, is... I can remember one year when Quilters Affair was going on, the smoke literally was rolling into the classrooms. It was just so bad. And it hadn't been that thick in a long time, but that smoke just descended. And so you can kind of hear I still have that sexy voice. That's from being over there. Yeah. So I was sorry to miss those visits that I had planned in my head anyway, and didn't get to see all of my quilt group, although some of them got to visit earlier in the previous week. So in some ways you do, you know, it is what it is. That's what my friend Robin always says. It is what it is. So I'm going to keep stitching on this. I want to tell you that, oh, look at this. See, I always stitch with a stitching pillow, and I make these Biscornu-shaped stitching pillows for the most part, but this particular one I made on a cruise that I went on with Stacy West and Lisa Bongian, and this was Lisa's pattern that she made from Primitive Gatherings. And so I have my little scissors in a pocket right there, and it's just, and I got my initials. So it's just so it kind of takes the strain off of your neck and your shoulders. I finished reading The In-Between, and oh my gosh, I cannot stress how beneficial that would be for anyone to read. And it's about this one, it's nonfiction, and it's written by a hospice nurse. But the most impactful thing, it's amazing, because she's talking about 12 specific patients that she had, and the commonality and the differences and how they impact her life. But what made the most was the most aha for me was at the end when I was listening to the author's notes. I would think that would be a book that even, you know, you don't even have to have somebody in hospice. I don't have anybody in hospice right now, but it was a good read. It was a good read. And so the next book that I am into, I just at the beginning, I'm just like maybe in the first 3 chapters, and it's like, what? I don't want to put it down. I want to know what the heck's going on. And it's called The Measure. I don't know, have you read it? If not, it would be a great you know, a great I just got a text from G. He's going to Harbor Freight. Well, he's they're his best friend, I think. But let me just look. What was I looking at? Oh, The Measure by Nikki Erlick. Very. I want to get together with a group of people who have read that book after I'm done, and just see what you think. What you think. So yes, that's what I'm reading. Well, I was down staying with my friend. They were in the midst of watching Goliath with Billy Bob Thornton. And so I watched 4 episodes of that with them in the evening. It's pretty dark and stressful. I guess I'm at a point in my life where all I need is happy times. I just want happy times. Yes. So I'm kind of excited that I have all this quilting stuff going on, planned, all these, yeah, it might sound boring because it's the same pattern over and over again, but I think it's going to be fun because of all the different fabrics and how quickly things may progress. So what have you been up to? Are you quilting or getting ready for quilting? You know, you do more quilting in the fall and winter. I mean, once spring hits, I start getting antsy to get outside. And today, because I had been gone for a few days, today we went to the garden center and because we had an idea of what we wanted to add in our backyard, and so I got some plants, and we got some pots, and uh, a statue, and just trying to, when you come away from my friend Robin's house, her yard, the environment that she has created is, it's like a mini Bouchard's Gardens, if you know that place up in Canada. It's it's so gorgeous. When it's in full bloom, it's so amazing. Um, she's about the most creative person I know. And so to come back from her house, it just seems like, oh my gosh, I've got to quilt, I've got to cross stitch. I don't do pottery, but I've got to garden. And so G and I went off to the garden centers this morning, and yeah, got some plants, talked to the, we have a big, there's, in, you know, Portland is a tree city, and and its nickname is the Rose City. Uh, we have many, many, many fantastic gardens. So there's no lack thereof of places to buy plants. And it's just deciding. And I'm not real knowledgeable, but you don't have to be in this area because Mother Nature takes care of you because of the environment. Where over on the other side of the mountain, you had to kind of know what you were doing because not everything grows there. It's high desert, but for whatever reason, Robin has a yard that is drop dead gorgeous with so many different things. And she has a way of displaying things that's just, oh my gosh. You know, someday when I go down there, I'm going to do a video just of her backyard, of everything in her. Maybe next spring or summer when everything's in full bloom. That would be really cool. But yeah, it just made me want to, oh, I have to keep stitching, don't I? It just made me want to go and get, and you know, I think G loves it when we do any kind of nesting thing. You know, we've moved so many times, but he is so happy here that I think he's done with the whole idea of moving. So whatever we can do to nest here is going to be a good thing. Yeah, it's going to be a good thing. I have, when I went to the quilt shops, I was just, I think when you're around fabric, you just get inspired, don't you? You just get inspired. There's so many things that I want to do. And I've come to a place, I wonder if any of you are in this same place, but I have come to a place where, you know, and it's only recent because a few weeks ago I was in that spot of don't need another thing. I have way too much. I need to finish what I have and all of that kind of thing. But now I kind of have evolved to a spot of, and you know, we do go back and forth, don't we? Um, but I've kind of evolved to a spot where if it if it makes me happy, what is it that it was in that book, The In Between, and she had a patient, and you can follow her on Instagram. I'll try to remember to put her Instagram link in the drop-down box, because she had I don't follow TikTok, but she had a TikTok video, she said, of one of her patients. He had agreed to her talking about it. And when he was passing, I think it was, he said, eat the cake. Yeah. And so someone had that tattooed on their arm, eat the cake. And what that means to me is not like I'm going to go hog wild and buy every single thing that I think is beautiful, fabric-wise, but there's a lot that I still want to do and I want to create, and if it ends up in someone else's stash or Goodwill someday, maybe it'll bring some excitement and love to whoever that is. So yeah, so so I guess eat the cake, make the quilt, stitch the project. There's just so much to love in the creating world, and creating something is good for your brain. It's good for your brain. I had to laugh when my book group got together. It's and you know, it was kind of a bummer because G wasn't there, and we get together with our husbands too. So everybody's partners were there, and it was fun to see the guys all again. And we used to all we had previously camped together, and two of us, two couples, we were supposed to camp this in a couple weeks at a place that's been evacuated. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that that beautiful place will still be standing in a couple weeks, and we'll be able to meet up and go camp. Yeah, it is fire season in Oregon. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to go to the, there's an antique shop, one of those in a little town nearby here, where a lot of different dealers have a booth. And I remember that there were a lot of them that had washboards, and I need a washboard that this will fit on, because I think that'll be really cute. And you got to decorate. If you got to do laundry, at least you should do it in a sweet little laundry room. I did get asked, oh, let me put this aside now. I did get asked about how I transfer these patterns. And I think I talked about this before. And I think I actually demoed it in a previous video, like 2 or 3 years ago. But what I do is I use a miso table, and I'll put that link below. And you know, there's all kinds of light tables. I just like my miso table, and it's just like a workhorse, and it's worked for years. And you know, it's kind of like, if you like the recipe, you don't change it. So I I take the pattern that's in here and I tape it, just a little bit of tape on either side to the top of my miso table, and then I clip. The miso table comes with white clips. I clip my fabric to the top of the pattern, and then I use the smallest, finest micron pen, brown, I think it's 0.1, and I trace the pattern directly onto my fabric. And I think I've showed you this before, but here we go. So I've traced it right onto the fabric. And you know, if it has, like if you see right in here, there are all these daisies. I don't draw the daisies out. I just put a dot there because I know that the daisy stitch, you know, I just know it's just showing me where to put it. Once I got it all traced, then I iron a piece of SF101. It's a Pellon product. It's an interfacing. It's a very, very lightweight interfacing. So, you know, it's lightweight. And that way, if I want to travel with my threads, it doesn't show up in the front. And it keeps me from puckering my stitches when I pull it too tight. You know, it just makes them lay nicer. And yeah, so that's all I do. And now this one is all ready to go. I'm ready to stitch that one. And I know I showed it in the last video, and or on Instagram it might have been, but several people have made a pillow with this, and I think that's what I'm going to do. In the past, I have wanted to be a knitter. There are, let's see, Irene, Nancy, Lori, and Jane. 4 knitters in my quilt group. I want to be like them, and I've tried to learn. I've been a remedial student to a couple of them, and there's just something that is not clicking. And so I had this big wad of yarn and needles and a starting of a scarf that had been sitting in my beehive for a handful of years. And when my friend came, I gave it all to her. And so when I went down there, she knitted a cowl for me. I love this eggplant. This eggplant is so soft, and so now I'm all ready for winter. Isn't that? Oh, yeah. I still am going to try punch needle, though. I'm still going to try punch needle. I have the tools and everything to do it, so we shall see if that happens next time. The real interesting thing that happened on my way down, I drove by myself over the mountain, and when you're my age, you know, you plan. You plan where you're going to stop and either get something to drink, or you're stopping, you have to use the potty somewhere, and where are you going to be able to use the potty. And the potty hunt was very difficult during COVID, you know, everybody has a little bit of PTSD when it comes to the potty hunt. Yeah. And even though we're so over it, you really never leave that behind. It's kind of like some people have said when they were a child and they got bit by a dog, then they're always afraid that a dog's going to bite them. That's the way it is about the potty hunt. And so when I was driving over, I knew exactly where I was going to stop. And it was the McDonald's in Madras. So I stopped, got out of my car, and I walked through the door, and there was a group of people sitting at the table, and it was like one of those moments where you remember those old film where you go ching ching ching, you know, the little frame of the film's going. That's what was happening in my brain. There was a group of people sitting there, and I stopped, and my brain was doing that thing, and I could tell that some of them were doing that thing. And I realized that it was a bunch of quilters from Central Oregon. And some of them worked at the same place, at the same hospital I worked at. And so it was like, what? And it turned out that their little quilt group was traveling the opposite direction of me, going to a quilt retreat too. I just thought that was so like one of those moments that you stop and you think, we think that we know what's going on in the world, but the coincidences and the interesting, I mean, I haven't seen these people in probably 10 years, 8 years, 5 years, some of them, you know. So it was so funny. And they were stopping, you know, because we all have that. We all have that, PTSD potty thing. And so they were stopped at the same McDonald's. We're going the opposite directions. I just loved that. I loved the serendipity and the coincidence of it, and the ability to be able to just take a moment. Just take a moment. So that was, I have to say, that was the highlight of this, one of the many highlights of this last week. And I loved knowing that they were still quilting away too. You know, that quilting is still going strong in the hearts of many. Yeah. Okay, I'm done. I was missing you guys so much, so it was great to stop by today, and I will keep you posted on what I'm doing this next week, how it goes. Please like and subscribe, and then be sure to look at this flyer at the end for the winner of this fabulous kit. And we'll see you next time. Love you guys.